Hello, MotoAmerica fans. It's time for another episode of Off Track with Carruthers and Bice. You'll laugh, you'll cry, and you may even learn something from this unlikely pair and their special guest. The mic is yours, Paul and Sean.
Hey, I'm Paul Carruthers, and this is our weekly podcast, Off Track. We talk about everything about MotoAmerica. This morning I went and found the two ugliest guys in the paddock so they could share so they could share this table with me. And Sean Bice over here is my regular counterpart. We do the show every week. And this is Cameron Beaubier, our four-time MotoAmerica Superbike champion. And he didn't end up fastest in yesterday's test, but he definitely ended up the fastest guy with the least amount of laps. I think he was a little lazy, and I think the weather scared him a little bit too much.
Fair weather rider.
So it was pretty amazing to watch, actually, because Cameron stayed off the track all day, which was probably smart because the conditions weren't ideal. Then he went out at the end of the day and did 7 laps and immediately shot to the top, which I'm sure didn't make the other guys feel too confident. And then Tony ended up going faster by just a little bit on his last lap. So yesterday was just, it wasn't really worth it, right? To go out earlier?
No, we had all new leathers, new helmet, brand new paint scheme, bike was brand new 2020 engine, and the last thing I wanted to do is go throw down the road before we got any good pictures in the dry. So we just decided we're not going to learn anything around here in the wet right now. It was a little bit different for Jake because he's pretty new to the current R1. He's obviously ridden an R1 before, but he went and spun some laps and he was like, oh, it's not that bad. But we ended up just waiting until the end of the day to go out in the last session because we saw the weather is going to clear up and be nice. And so we did. And I was like, Richard and I were thinking the track was going to be a little bit easier on tires than it was here at the race, just because it's had like a full off season, quite a few track days and stuff with cars and trying to break the track in. So we went with the 2662 front, just a little bit softer front, and it shredded in like 5 laps. And so we're like, oh man, we didn't have anything else on warmers, so we just ended up waiting until today to keep going. So,
and then today's obviously not much better at this point, but maybe it'll dry up a little bit.
We should mention probably that right now, while we're talking to Cameron, normally there would be bikes out on the track, but it literally is full damp right now. There's like a strange misty rain in the air.
It's this is a tough scenario because it's not like super wet. Like you could go out and burn a set of rain tires up, but it's like right in between, we
don't want to get the impression these guys don't race in the rain or ride in the rain, because they certainly do. I want to ask you about that, Cameron, because I think all of us that ride motorcycles on the street have ridden in the rain before. It's certainly not like racing in the rain. The first thing I want to know is, do you like racing in the rain? You prefer not to? What does it feel like?
I don't like riding in the rain. I don't like racing in the rain, but I just feel like maybe with my style and just maybe a dirt background has helped me in the rain, because whenever it rains, and also my R1, it's super gentle on the bottom end. We've had really good success in the rain.
You've won races in the rain. Yeah.
I feel like where I struggle is like the half wet, half dry races. Like that's where I've struggled. But if it's full rain, I feel like I have a really good shot at winning the race. Mm-hmm. But in the mixed conditions, that's where it's kind of tough for me.
So what does it feel like? Again, back to riding on the street, and of course I don't wear leathers when I'm riding, but you get really wet in the lower part of your body. Do you get wet? Do your boots get wet? Do your feet get cold? What is it like?
Yeah.
It goes into the leathers and the boots and the whole bit. Yeah. And it's uncomfortable, clearly.
Yeah.
Okay.
That's the last thing you're thinking about when you're riding around.
Right.
As long as you can see good, you're fine. So there's been a couple races at New Jersey in 2016. It was literally downpouring, and it started raining progressively throughout the race. And I remember on the inside of the curbs, there was just huge puddles, and every lap, there was more standing water, and like the track was just getting slicker and slicker and slicker, and I saw like bikes going down left and right, and you're just trying. It's like survival mode. You're going 4 seconds a lap slower, and you're nervous because you're like, man, like I'm gonna get caught right now. So you're still kind of pushing and sliding around. That one I was completely soaked, but most of the time we'll race when it's just like a little drizzle or something, or it's lightly raining, because most of the time you can't race when it's just a full-on downpour, So that was a unique situation, though.
Yeah.
Okay, you're probably going to lie to me with your answer, but yesterday it seemed like you wanted to make a statement. Like you seem like you're really confident, like you feel really good, you're happy with the team, you're pumped, you're ready to go.
Yeah.
And then yesterday was just like, you know what, I'll go out there and do 5 laps and just smoke everybody.
I mean, yes and no. Like, I wanted to go out and go fast for sure, because I've been sitting in the truck all day. But I mean, to be honest, we've had a few really good tests in the off season. We had a couple days at Buttonwillow. It's obviously a track we don't race at, but we've spent a decent amount of time getting comfy on this new Attack Performance R1, and it's good. Like, it suits me good. It feels good. It's quite a bit different from what we raced last year, just chassis wise and electronic strategies wise, but it's similar in some ways too. So yeah, I was actually really curious to see how it is on a dry track around here, and the first impression was really good. So we obviously had made a couple tweaks last night for today once it dries up. But yeah, so far I'm happy, man. It's good.
So this off season was about trying attack stuff versus what you had too, right? And it seemed like you're
kind of just piecing everything together. Like, the first test we rode my bike, my previous bike, the first little bit, and then switched to the attack bike. And right away, like, I really liked especially at a track like Buttonwillow, where it's pretty rough, and you got to be careful with the throttle on a Superbike because it's got so much power, I really like the characteristic of the way he runs his electronics, like the way the TC catches, the way the wheelie control catches. And our bike, it's just a little bit different style of riding. It's just a little bit more free. So I've had to adapt to that a little bit, but I think it's going to be pretty good.
I had heard there was a change. There's a little bit of a change this year in Magneti Marelli's electronics. Is that true? There's a little.
Yeah, we got an updated software from the World Superbike guys, and to be honest, like, it feels a lot different from what we were on last year, but I don't really know what they were on last year, so it just feels new to me across the board. But yeah, it's been pretty good so far. So
it's funny. I was thinking about this, and when we talked to Tom Halverson last week, I think the previous iteration of the R1 is kind of, I always thought of it as the bike that Josh Hayes built. He didn't like it in the beginning, and he developed it. You didn't really, the front end was a little weird for you on that bike. You got this.
The old one.
The old one.
Yeah.
The old one. Yeah, the one from 09 or whatever. And then you got in the new one and seemed to instantly go better. And Josh struggled a little bit. It feels like now with the championships you've won, it's the bike that you built. Do you feel that way? That was Josh Hayes' bike?
In some ways, yeah. Man, that old bike tore me up.
Yeah,
that thing.
For sure.
It was a freaking. Well, I remember the first time I rode it, like just how stiff the thing was and everything. I was like, damn, dude, this is what I got to look forward to. Like, the thing is way too fast, and like it cornered good, but it's just like I got arm pump second lap, and I was just like, oh man. But the new one for sure was night and day. Just, I remember I rode it in stock form, and I was like, holy crap, like it's this good in stock form. Like,
yeah.
I'm excited to see what it's going to be like in race form. And it obviously took a little bit, like trial and error with some stuff. And yeah, it was just a good race bike from day one, really. But yeah, just all the little things that helped me, just the way they shape the tank around, like, but I'm not as wide in the shoulders as Josh, so I was able to wrap myself around the tank a little bit better. That helped me a lot. But I think at the end of the day, Josh had so much, I mean, he's obviously has so much experience now, and at the time he had a lot more than I do. So he kind of took charge when it comes to electronics and stuff like that. And I feel like he led us down a great path. We racked up some Superbike championships together, and but now it is kind of funny to see just everything changing in electronic strategies. He's a little bit more old school, where it's all in your hand type of thing. And I think it was really good for me to learn how to ride like that, and then take what I've learned to basically kind of like the new way of riding with electronics, restricting the power a little bit and letting the bike kind of work for you, and make it a little easier on the rider and a little safer along with it. So
How different are your bikes with your new teammate Jay Gagne? Is there anything similar? I mean, I know he's still going through a bunch of stuff and trying to figure out his way, but is there anything close there or not?
That's pretty similar.
Okay.
Yeah. Like, I think our setups are pretty similar. Even our bar positions are pretty similar. I don't know if that has anything to do with us like riding a lot of motocross or something like that.
Right, like elbows out.
Yeah, like I've noticed on this bike, I've gone further out and further out with my bar position. And it could just be where the seat is and stuff like that. But it's been pretty cool working with Richard so far. Like, I've heard a lot of good things about him, like how he's, smart and stuff. But once you actually like work with him and talk to him and stuff like that, you can just see that big old brain working, It's when you come back in and give him some feedback. And
that's how I am when I talk to Sean. I see his big old brain.
Yeah. Well, usually there's smoke coming out of my ears. So let's talk about that for a minute, because it's funny about Rick Hobbs. I mean, all the riders he worked with over his career in Champions, he worked with you longer than any of those other riders. And you got to know him so well, and you guys were friends on that level. And Richard is Rick is. I'm not going to argue who's smarter between the two of them. They definitely have a different presentation or style, and you have to get used to that. And
absolutely.
Yeah. So talk about the chemistry. Do you have to? Did you guys sit down and try to see eye to eye, or did you just kind of jump in there? I mean, you're a friendly enough guy.
I mean, we're still just kind of learning how each other work and stuff like that. And I mean, it's not all going to be perfect. You know what I'm saying? We're going to have to learn each other's communication as we approach the race season. And I think we just need to kind of get thrown in the deep end together, right, and just and see how it goes. The first race, and kind of move from there. I've been so lucky with Rick, just his, his calm demeanor, and he's like, he is so calm, but like he's a leader at the same time. Like everyone, he has like this, he like demands respect type of thing in like a calm way. And everyone loves him, he's just a great guy. And he was really he was a leader. Him and Tom were just like the leaders of the team there last year. And it was, I'm so lucky to learn and work with that guy. It's pretty cool. And I'm sure he's enjoying his time in Havasu now, sipping his wine. And, but it was really cool. Working with him, we had a really, really good chemistry, our whole team, So I'm going to miss that guy. But it's just a new chapter, same goal. And hopefully try to keep that number one plate on our bike. Well,
so you got 4 Superbike championships, same as Mr. 4-time Josh Hayes. Obviously, the Matt Mladen has 7.
Must be getting old.
Yeah. Do you think? I mean, not really. I mean, you think about what's ahead of you. Do you even think about the fact that passing 7 attainable? Does it even cross your mind?
No, honestly, I feel like the best thing for me is to think about like what's present, because once I start thinking about like the future, I don't know. I like just thinking about what's tomorrow, like what can I get out of today or tomorrow type of thing. But that would be amazing. I think MotoAmerica is doing a great job. Obviously, we need more bikes on the grid and Superbike, but I think that'll come as MotoAmerica keeps growing. But I would really like to see, see how I can stack up over in Europe. You know, I'm really pumped for Garrett to get that opportunity. I feel like now wasn't my time to kind of go over there. I have a really good situation here, you know, with Yamaha, and I have too good of a deal to pass up, to be honest. You know, I'm getting paid good. I get to go home after every race. My family gets to go to my races, and I'm not traveling all over the world and stuff like that, which would be cool. But I think right now it's not the time for that. So I'm just going to keep trucking away and doing what I'm doing here. And I'd love to try to rack up some more championships, but it's not going to be easy. I know it's funny. I think it is a bummer that how we're not considered factory Yamaha anymore. We're factory supported, and same with Suzuki. Like, they're factory supported on the M4 team. But at the same time, I feel like it could create some really good doors for Kawasaki to come in and spend way less money, for Honda to come in and spend way less money rather than come in and see all this money Suzuki and Yamaha are spending on these sides and being like, man, like that's like we have to do that to be competitive type of thing. I don't think it's really necessarily like that anymore. So it could be a blessing in disguise. We'll see.
It's funny though. I was just going to say, Paul, real quick. So
you've never said anything real quick.
Back in 1991 or back in 1990 and 91. I mean, Vance and Hines Yamaha, which, you know, of course, Jamie James was on that team, Colin Edwards. We at that time thought of that as a factory team, and it wasn't. It was a factory supported team. Tom Halverson was embedded in that team like he is on this team now. So I don't know what changed to make it seem like this is not still factory involvement, because it is. I feel.
Yeah, this hasn't been a huge step down.
Right.
No, it's. I feel like at the end of the day, especially you two, like you run MotoAmerica's social media and stuff like that, and you see people hating on the internet and stuff like that.
Yeah, do we ever?
And it's literally like, I don't know if it's like this day and age, it's just like the way people conversate is just complaining now, but it's kind of lame, honestly. But I mean,
I want to go on record right now. If anyone's rude to anybody in Facebook responses, it's him and not me. I try to stay off of there because I'll lose my shit.
I get a little worked up, yeah, but you know,
it's just. I mean, maybe it's good, maybe it's bad. It's just.
It is what it is.
It is what it is.
Yeah,
but we're just gonna keep doing our thing. And
there's also a perception, and I want to word this so that nobody gets mad at me, but there's a perception that your situation is better than what Tony's situation has become, because people viewed Yoshimura in it's not that they view the current team low, it's just they viewed Yoshimura in with such high regard. And sometimes I feel like maybe he even senses that a little bit too, and it's almost put you a step ahead of him, you know, going into the season. Do you feel that?
To be honest, in some ways, a little bit. I don't know. There's multiple ways to look at it. I think not necessarily ahead of him, but I feel like we've gotten a pretty good jump start to the season, and we've tested even more than we've had last year, last off season, which I think has been really good for me and the team, just kind of working the kinks out and getting comfortable on the bike. And they've only ridden one time before this test. But at the same time, like, they have the same equipment they had last year, which was really good. And that M4 team is no joke. They have some really good guys, and I think they have some guys from Yosh over there as well. So, and on top of it, Tony's he's a world champion. He's a MotoGP race winner. He has a ton of talent and a ton of experience. So, yeah, you can look at it like that, but I think when it comes down to racing, like, they're going to be there, they're going to be ready to go, just like we will be.
Does obviously with COTA being postponed, now we open at Road Atlanta. Does that help you a little bit psychologically because he's always so tough at COTA?
To be honest, no. I was looking forward to going to COTA, like, with them not with a ton of time and us with like a decent amount of testing, and I'm like ready to go stomp down, throw down. And then they say it might be the last round, and I'm just like, oh boy. Like that could be tough. Like if he gets some momentum going, but regardless, it is what it is. It's the same for everyone. And I think regardless, we're going to be in a better position going to that track. And to be honest, I was bummed Coda. I mean, if last year, if you said Coda was off the schedule or not the first round, I'd be on my knees thanking the Lord. But like this year, I think we're in a lot better spot with some things that we've learned last year with Hobbs and our team, and then also just with Richard and the attack bike, the way he runs his bike and stuff like that. So
now, is Richard technically, is he your crew chief?
Yes.
Okay.
He's kind of a do-it-all guy.
So when you come in and you get off the bike and you talk to somebody like you would with Rick, you're talking to him, and then he'll go from there.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then we have Paul back with electronics, and then I have Lee and Will working on the chassis, and it's pretty cool. Like it.
And Lee you had last year, so Will's the only. Will and Richard are the new ones. You have half your team is the same as last year.
Yeah, and it's pretty cool though because Will Morton. He actually lives like probably an hour from me, and he used to help my dad with my 125s back in the day with JD and I. Like JD and I used to, we traveled all around Europe together, and JD used to he lived with me sometimes. He'd just fly back from Europe, and my parents would pick us up, and we'd stay at my house for a while, couple weeks or whatever, and fly back out, or he'd fly home, but. Yeah, we've spent a lot of time together, and he actually had a 125, and my dad would obviously help him with it. We'd go to track days together and stuff like that.
Wow.
And Will helped both of us with that. Like we'd go to Will's, and I think he lived in like Vacaville or something like that, which wasn't too far. So it's kind of funny how it comes full circle, and we're working together.
That's cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, so you probably saw on social media, maybe you didn't, I don't know, but JD had posted that photo of you and he on the Rockwall bikes way back.
Yeah.
That was cool to see that. It's amazing. You look back at that time and, we've known you so long that to see you back then, it's like, oh man, he was so young then, so.
That was a cool time. It was kind of funny that JD, he pretty much got me that ride.
Right.
And we ended up being teammates that year, and it was tough because coming home from Europe, I really didn't have anything. Like I was in the world championship, everything was looking good, and then all of a sudden KTM folded and I had nothing, and came back to America, and I was really lucky I got that. And then I raced Rockwall with Rockwall Yamaha on the East Coast, and that was when they did like the East-West shootout. Right. And so I did the East Coast and Super Sport, and I did the West Coast like on a private R6, and it was good I think I showed up to Daytona, literally had ridden the 600 one time, and we just kind of went for it. So it is cool looking back on that. For sure. Yeah.
Was it the next year that you won the 200 when you got with the Yamaha team? Was it your first year?
That was a few years after that. So 2010, I did the Rockwall. 2011, I did that kind of private thing where Jesse Kaler was building my bikes. And then I started riding with Jake Holden's team run by Brie Poland. I rode with them for a little bit, and then Mean a little bit, and then kind of just any way we could get to the track, our bikes could get to the track. Really, it was a scramble for sure. And then I think we racked up like 5 podiums that year, and then that's when I got that opportunity with Keith and Chuck.
They were paying attention. I want to talk about that. So what you did, and Heron kind of had the same situation, although it was a little bit different. Obviously, Josh Heron won a Superbike championship in 2013, went to Moto2, kind of came back, had to reinvent himself, start over again, and of course, his popularity is skyrocketing. Now, with you had Red Bull Rookies Cup, you raced GP 125, and then you kind of had that time in between where you really did what you could do to put yourself in the window so you could still have your racecraft and people to see you. Was that a calculated thing? I got to keep doing this to be noticed?
Yeah, like if I wanted to go racing, you just had had to do everything. And luckily, like I still had my sponsorship with Red Bull and Top One Oil that they helped me out back then. And without them, I wouldn't have been able to even just do my own program because, my parents, my dad's got a good job, my mom's got a good job, but they're not like breaking the bank by any means, and they're just blue collar. Yeah, my dad's blue collar and just going to work every day. He's worked really hard his whole life, and then we'd go racing. So I was super lucky I was able to do that. And that year in 2011 it was like such a tough year on everyone, but it was like the most rewarding year ever, just being able to, something about being like the underdog and podium and against like the team I ride for now. And the Geico, when M4 was Geico, like all that stuff, that was so cool standing on the podium knowing that we built this thing in our garage and up late nights, rushing parts to Jesse Kaler and all this stuff. Like, that was a pretty rewarding year. And I remember tipping over in practice and just like spray painting my body work on the trash can. Like, it's just, oh man. But, that just makes me thankful for what I have now. So it's good. I'm in a good place right now. I'm enjoying life. Like, I'm enjoying, training, like riding motocross at home with my friends and spending time with Shelby and our freaking dog and riding motocross with my brother and just hanging out with my family. Like, it's been good.
Speaking of the motocross thing, does the Skoltzy thing make you a little bit nervous? Like, as you get close to the season, do you slow that down?
A little bit, but in his defense, like, I feel like you have to do it, like you see all the MotoGP guys riding motocross now too. And even flat track guys, like there's no, at least in my eyes, there's no better fitness you can get out of riding motocross for road racing. Than motocross. Like it's if you can go out and ride at good 85-90% for half an hour, like you'll have no problem throwing around a Superbike for that long. Maybe not no problem, like it's tough, and it's humid and nasty, but I feel like it's really, and you're on a motorcycle, you're working on your timing, you got to hit your ruts, you're soaking up a jump, you're hanging on for dear life over the braking bumps. It's really, really good for you. And I mean, sometimes bleep happens, it's just the way it is. We're motorcycle racers and
right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the other day, Matthew, we got a quote from him and he said that riding moto is a necessary part of his training, just like you're saying.
Yeah.
He would not do it. It just sometimes things happen. And it was the first or second year crash he had. It wasn't a big deal. It just hadn't hit it just right. So
I'd say like, it might be getting a little close, like doing it a day before you're coming to the test.
That's what I was thinking. Maybe not. So this year we're kind of excited because we have 2 new events, and obviously returning to Indy is like a really big deal for us. And you won there the first year we were there.
Both races,
2015.
right? Yeah.
Yeah, that
very
track,
close races, I think, with Roger.
Yes.
That was a good track. That was a fun track. I'm kind of interested to see how it is now. I'm sure it's still going to be good, but that was cool racing with MotoGP there and stuff like that. And me and Raj had a good battle there. I remember Hobbs grenaded a stopwatch there because I think it got red flagged and it reverted back a lap.
Yes, it did.
But it didn't revert back a lap, but he thought it was going to or something like that.
Right.
Yeah.
And so it would have gave him the win, but we ended up getting the win. And it was funny because he just grenaded the stopwatch. I got a couple grenades out of him. Like
that's doing something with him because he's pretty calm.
Getting mad very often, but oh man, something about getting Rick fired up like kind of makes like me feel good because he's so just calm, cool, and collected.
Yeah.
Like he's like you are human. So
there was one last year he had where I remember it was on camera. You had crashed, and I think he put his head in his hands. Really? It was the most emotion I'd ever seen out of him. And I was like, I don't know if it was quite a grenade moment.
I think it was an important one. I can't remember what it was though. It was like it was when it happened. It might have been Sonoma, maybe.
It seemed like
I just wanted Sonoma.
It was Sonoma because when you went down.
Honestly, everybody at that point thought
it's over.
It's over.
I did too, honestly.
Yeah, that was it.
You got a little help and turn things around. We're also going to the Ridge. Is it cool as a rider to just be going to different places? Just because it's
honest,
new?
Yeah. I think it's cool. No credit to you guys, but I think MotoAmerica's looking for new racetracks, new safe racetracks. I heard they already put in a chicane in like one of the dangerous spots, which worked out really good at Pittsburgh. And Pittsburgh's one of the coolest tracks we have on the calendar right now. It's it's a beautiful track. We got good fans there, which is really cool from like the mid Ohio area, which I love that place too. But I'm excited to go to Ridge. I think I've heard it's really good. I heard it's a really good track. Zemke's ridden it. Gagne said he's ridden it a little bit, and he said the layout's pretty cool, and I just love going to the places where it's all green, from California. It's nice this time of year, but it all dries out come summertime, so it's nice to get out somewhere green.
So speaking of that chicane at Pittsburgh, do you want to talk about that a little more or not?
What are you saying?
Well, didn't you mess up there and it cost you the race?
Yeah. No, I did.
Good.
I'm just kidding. I don't like chicanes. MotoAmerica's doing a terrible job.
Actually, I have a different question for you about Pittsburgh, though, and I want to talk about, yesterday, coming out of Charlotte's Web at this track, Josh Herron on the BMW high-sided the bike, and we didn't know what happened. It looked like a wrist. It turned out, we thought separated shoulder. It turned out he's got a little something with his shoulder, but not too bad. Pittsburgh, you had the shoulder thing. You had a lingering thing before that, and you got it fixed. Is your shoulder a factor at all for you anymore? Do you have any problems?
It's definitely a little more tight than my good one, but and I wouldn't say it's quite like as strong, but it's to ride, there's no problem riding. I just noticed that in the gym when I'm working with my trainer, with Derek, Dialed Health, I noticed that it's a little weaker than this one, but it is 100 times better than it was previous. So I'm so happy that I got that done and didn't kind of try to fight through the last couple rounds of the year. I'm happy that I got that done for sure.
Well, since that happened, it was like some kind of weird tank slapper that you had. Have you had anything like that happen since then? Similar? Yeah. And it hasn't affected you?
Our good videos are always that.
Yeah.
Well, there was that thing at Utah, right? That crazy wild thing you were doing.
Man. That was a good one. I cannot believe that thing blew up too.
That was one of our biggest things of the year.
That was crazy.
It was, but that you've had that happen and you're like, oh, I'm all good then. It probably when it happened in Pittsburgh, you probably were
it was
really
literally
confused.
the perfect scenario for that to happen too. Just the way I was leaning to the right and then leaning to the left right when the thing snapped on me, and then my weight was all on my left side, right? And so my right side was free, and just the way the bike snapped, it was just the perfect scenario for it to just freaking pull it out. So I don't ever want that to happen again. That was a rough day, but
it led to something better. You got it fixed.
Exactly.
It was a blessing in disguise. So
exactly.
All right, we'll wrap this up and let maybe he's gonna go out. What do you think?
I told you, dude, I'm a fair weather rider. I'm going out when it's dry.
It might get dry.
It might dry out here pretty soon. So.
Well, so Tony was fastest yesterday. Do you feel like you want to try to get some time to try to beat him? Do you want to lead this test?
I would love some dry time regardless, but I would feel good coming out of this test fastest for sure. Okay. That's the goal every time, right?
You're a racer.
Yeah.
Yep. Good.
All right, Sean.
Well, thanks for joining us, Cameron. It's great to have you on video. It's great for you to be on video, not so great for me to be on video. I'm sorry, fans, but it happens.
Hey, this is one of the only podcasts I actually listen to. I'm not a podcast guy, but I listened to the Colin Edwards one. That was pretty cool.
We've had some
I
fun.
listened to Tom Halverson. That was really cool. I think the Bobby one was pretty funny too.
That was good, yeah.
Bobby's always good.
Yeah.
So there you go, fans. Cameron listens to him as well. But we want to also mention at the end here, so MotoAmerica Live Plus, our streaming subscription service that we have, and also does video on demand. Make sure you get hooked up for that. It's fantastic. It's the best thing to have. Next best thing to being at a race, and speaking about being at a race, get your race tickets as well. You can go on MotoAmerica.com/buy and get hooked up for both those things. So we want you to be at our races. We want you to watch our races, and we've got some of the best racing in the world. It's close. and it's fun to see. And we got great riders like Cameron to see. So thanks for joining us.
Thank you. Thanks, Cam.